Jeremiah. Jeremiah, the 8th chapter. Jeremiah chapter 8 and verse 11. Jeremiah chapter 8 verse 11. The 11th verse reads thusly: For they have healed the hurt of the daughter of my people slightly, saying, Peace, peace, when there is no peace. For they have healed the hurt of the daughter of my people slightly, saying, Peace, peace, when there is no peace. I want to talk tonight about slightly healed.
All right.
Father, I stretch my hand to thee. No other help I if thou withdraw thyself from me, where there shall I go slightly here. The penman, the writer of the text, is named Jeremiah. His name suggests the idea of trouble and lamentation. Jeremiah is reported to be the evening star of the closing day of prophecy and the herald of the dissolution of the Jewish commonwealth. In Jeremiah's times, there was no Bible as we know it today. Yet there was the book of Deuteronomy that to some extent took its place. The apparent danger to the people of Jeremiah's day was their taking the book out of context. Apparently many of them had the wrong concept of moral and spiritual requirements of religion. They thought it sufficient to perform with strictest punctuality the ceremonial parts of God's love. They wore the right clothes. They chanted the right words. They even gave their tithes, what have you. And having done this, they cried, Peace, peace, and applied the delightful promises of providence, prosperity, and protection found in the book of Deuteronomy to themselves. Coincidentally, I have over the last several years heard a lot of crying, naming and claiming. Speak it and it shall come to pass. When I read the words in Jeremiah, it reminds me that what the preacher says is true. There is nothing new under the sun. In Jeremiah's time, the people reclined undisturbed on promises such as the following. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flock of thy sheep. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shall thou be when thou goest out. Israel of old, like many of our own generation, completely ignored the vivid curse which has been a sequel of disobedience in all generations. They tell me that there is a heinous creature known as the vampire bat. Now, the characteristic of this murderous culprit, he destroys his victims by sucking their life's blood while gently fanning them with his wings into a coma. This bat's counterpart has traveled across the centuries, sucking modern man's life's blood while he fans them into profound slumber, all the while crying, peace, peace, when there is no peace. Let us remember, though, that false security is not a new phenomena of the 21st century. It was the tragedy of Eden. The devil deceived Eve with false security, saying, you shall not surely die. For God doth know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when you read that, the devil say gods, G-O-D-S, you know, there are a lot of them. Not that you shall be as capital G-O-D. False security was widespread when John the Baptist came on the scene. And John attempted to rescue the multitude that came to his baptism from their complacency with this injunction. He says, bring forth, therefore, fruits meet for repentance. Reverend Emery said, everybody want to go to heaven. Nobody want to be saved. False security. People just don't want what it takes to be a child of the King. History has been vociferous with voices crying peace when there is no peace. pseudo-physicians persist in healing the hurt of mankind slightly. And society is gullible to these quacks. It is such a tragedy that self-styled world menders would pamper people with a fatal malady promising prosperity, tranquility, security, sound health, and long life, while a cancerous infirmity continues to destroy them. These pseudo-physicians and their slight healing was the cause of Jeremiah's lamentations and should be the major concern to Christians of this day. Prophecy of Jeremiah is punctuated with sobs and stained with tears. In melancholic eloquence, he laments the predicament of Israel, slightly healed, will not suffice for deep hurt. Israel had been an inviolable possession in the hands of a loving God. While he kept them as the apple of his eye. God himself announces this estrangement. He said, for my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water. Some of you, one or two maybe, are old enough to remember cisterns. You know, it's not a well you dig down till you get to the water. A cistern is something that you build, and depending on the rainwater to come and fill it up. But God said Israel not only had a cistern, they had a broken one. Because they were content to be slightly healed. Let me give you an example. God delivered Israel out of Egypt, brought her through the wilderness, took her across Jordan, drove out all the enemies in the land, set Israel up in the land. And what did Israel say to Samuel? Samuel, make us a king so we can be like the other folk. Don't you hear that? That's why folk will leave a church that preaches Christ and go to a church where there's a big crowd because they want to be like other folk. We don't know what they're doing, but we just want to be like them. Slightly healed. And this hurting has affected brotherly love because the horizontal bar of brotherhood cannot be suspended in thin air. If it is to extend from man to man and race to race and nation to nation and reach to the ends of the earth, it must be firmly attached to the perpendicular post of the fatherhood. Can't love God without loving your fellow man. And you really can't love your fellow man without first loving God, because God is the source. God is love. Israel had severed her post, and so has succeeding generations. Consequently, the hurt of mankind has been slightly healed. With alliances and federations and treaties and ceasefires. Therefore, whosoever would be healed more than slightly must heal eternal command. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy strength, and with all thy mind. And by the way, let me just put this in there. Somebody said all means all. Nothing else left beside all. And thy neighbor as thyself. The hurt also produces poverty of both body and soul. God says, if you don't love me more than any other, there shall be no grapes on the vine, no figs on the fig tree. The leaf shall fade, and the things that I have given you shall pass away from you. That's for the body. You won't have enough food to eat and nowhere to get it from. Now, for the soul, it almost makes one tremble as Paul describes the poverty of the soul experienced by those estranged from God. Paul said, and even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind. I see the signs. Reprobate mind means you really don't know right from wrong. Now, I like to think that most of us know right from wrong. We just do wrong. But when you get a reprobate mind, you don't know right from wrong. Let me give you a quick example or two. When you have a reprobate mind, you think it's all right for women to marry women and men to marry men. You really don't know any better. Now, there are some folk who know better. They just don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But there are some who don't know any better. That's poverty of the soul. Well, the question is, who are these healers? The physician role stretches across the centuries, and when we look at them, we see they had some things that they offered that look good, sound good, even taste good. But it was not all that it was propped up to be. We have Plato's Republic, Morey's Utopia, and Jefferson's Democracy. Now, I'm going to talk a minute about Jefferson's democracy. Jefferson's democracy says that all are created equal, except you happen to be dark-skinned. That doesn't sound like anything but slightly healing. Then there are the social workers, physicians. Many of them have no medicinal remedy beyond a material poultice which can only be applied externally. If I may take a moment to explain that, when I was growing up, there was no Medicaid and Medicare, and we didn't have no HMO, and we didn't have no insurance. And so, about this time of year, my grandmother would put together some stuff. Top of the list was some castor oil. And then there was some black drawers. And then there was some other stuff. But then she would also, if you got a real bad cold, you go get a flu shot and stuff. What she did was she mixed up some stuff. I don't even remember all the stuff I wish I did. I could save myself some money. And when night came, she would rub it on your chest. And she had a little piece of cloth. She called out and she'd put it on you and cover you up. In the morning, you'd breathe a whole lot better. It was a poultice. It was a salve. You didn't take it. She applied that externally. A man's life, though consisted not in the abundance of the things which he possesses. A social physician wants to heal slightly by supplying the indigent with generous welfare checks. They want to clear all the slummy areas and build new houses in their places. Social physicians, in their attempt to heal slightly, would equally divide the world's wealth between all the people of the earth. And they would beef up the police forces in order to subdue crime. But all of the above will not secure peace, nor will it arrest the malady that has inflicted our world, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much money you give a person. If his heart is not right, he's not going to do right. Doesn't matter what kind of house you put a person in. If he has a slum mind, pretty soon it's going to be, let me tell you, heaven is a prepared place for prepared people. And that's why if you don't want to go to heaven, God is not going to make you. Let me give you my reason for why he won't make you. Because he knows if he makes you go to heaven and you don't want to go, pretty soon he'll have hell in heaven. It doesn't matter. I am for helping people. I am for teaching. I am for encouraging. But you got to work from the inside out. You got to work from the inside out. All of the excuses we hear today about, well, the reason I'm doing what I'm doing, because my daddy wasn't no good, my mama wasn't no good, I didn't have a chance. Listen, I grew up when very few folk had chances. But I never even considered robbing anybody. I didn't consider, in fact, my grandma told me, said, listen, if the sheriff comes to me and tells me you stole something, I'm turning over, going back to sleep. And tell him to do whatever he needs to do. She told me because, listen, you don't have to steal. So we got some milk and bread at home. And even if we run out and you're hungry, if you ask enough people, somebody will give you a piece of bread. You don't have to steal. I don't have time to tell you. Well, let me tell you. Say if the sheriff come and tell me he locked you up because you were drunk, I'm going to turn over and go on back to sleep. You don't need to drink. You don't have but a little sense, and you don't need to do anything with mess up that you got. I'm for helping. But people have to want to be helped. Yeah. If you don't want to be helped, nobody can help you. A few weeks ago, one very influential person had all kind of money picked up for shoplifting. Didn't have to steal, just did it. I don't know why. I guess I do. It wasn't from the inside out. Well, there are also legislative positions, and we need legislation. I hope everybody go vote. We need legislation to protect us from anarchy. We need laws. Yet we should not put all our faith in man's law. You see, the flaunting of laws and disrespect for regulations should teach us that there is a need for something that legislation does not supply. The great apostle realized the fallacy of depending solely on legal remedies and said, for what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh. Law couldn't do it. God gave Israel the law. Love the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not. And yet, Israel did not follow the law. Paul said it was weak through the flesh. But then God sending his own son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin condemned sin in the flesh. Legal physicians are not the ultimate answer. Well, maybe you want to know, what about the patriarchs, the prophets, the preachers, and the parents? There have been great expectations focused on each of these groups. But to be quite honest with you, they have all done little more than heal slightly. For the most part, let's look at the groups. Parents are physicians. You ought to train up a child in the way he should go. You have an opportunity before the disease becomes chronic. Yeah, in order to shape and to mold a child. But many parents have turned their children over to pseudo-physicians who have written the prescription of education, economic security, social status, and liberality, all of which have healed slightly. Back during the days of the patriarch, there was less inclination to slightly heal. The Lord even complimented Abraham, saying, I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken of him. But then during the days of the prophets, the true prophets were always forced to compete with false prophets who seemed determined to heal slightly. I remind Nehemiah regularly that you can't fight the devil with his weapons because the devil has no standards. You know one of these limericks, how low can you go? Well, there is no depth to which the devil will not go. But if you're a child of God, you come to a stopping point. And so you'll never win using the devil's weapon. Yeah, the real prophets had to compete with the true prophets. Yeah, therefore, the lives of the true prophets were almost constantly in jeopardy because they refused to heal slightly. And today, we have preachers whose job it is to give a correct diagnosis. It is, the preacher's job to earnestly contend for the faith which was once delivered unto the saints. However, there are some preachers who seem content to heal slightly. And so the meat of their sermons contain such things as decency, respectability, church attendance, and financial support, but omit the injunction, you must be born again. And because of slightly healing, there are great church houses that have been erected, while millions of potential churches have been badly damaged or destroyed. Many are now benevolent. They'll write checks and they'll give offerings, but they are not believers. They do not believe that whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Because many have settled for slightly healing. Heads have grown, but hearts have shrunk. Intellects have been stimulated, but spirits have been dead. That's why you need a concert band to have church. Because folk are slightly healed. When you're not slightly healed, you are able, to praise God without anybody having to prime you. The disease is rapidly advancing. Visit to the world's physicians are becoming more frequent, but instead of getting better, they are growing progressively worse, because the more are satisfied with being slightly healed. But the text makes anybody appear foolish who would be satisfied with being slightly healed. Because there is a balm in Gilead. And it's able to completely cure. You don't have to settle for being slightly healed. No, because God is our refuge and our strength, a very present help in the time of trouble. I hear God saying through Jeremiah, they have healed the daughter of my people only slightly. I'm glad. I said I'm glad that I found out I don't have to accept being slightly healed, because I know a doctor who has an impeccable reputation. He's able to heal. I said he's able to heal completely. As I leave you tonight, let me introduce you to to a few of his patients. There was a man out in the graveyard full of devils. The doctor healed him. He was sitting clothed in his right mind. And there were some lepers who were unclean. And he told them to go show yourself to the priest because he didn't want them to be considered slightly healed. He healed a prostitute. He told her to go and sin no more. He healed completely. He's that kind of doctor. Why? He's so good until he can go to the graveyard and call you back after you're dead. He's that kind of doctor. I wish you knew my doctor like I know him. He's a good doctor. But let me tell you what happened to him. Folk got mad with him by the way they plotted against him. They falsely accused him. They hung him on a cross. And I heard some of them say, now, doctor, heal yourself.